I just realized a couple minutes ago that I don't think I've ever shared all of my views because I guess they'll be seen as like kind of extreme. But that's just my political beliefs. It is what it is. Starting off really strong. I don't think it's the government's business to tell me who I have to hire or who I can and cannot turn away. If I run a dog walking business and you are in a wheelchair and your arms barely work, I'm not going to want to hire you, and nothing could make me hire you because you are not suitable for this job. There are jobs for people who are disabled or people who are this, that, and the third that they'll easily flourish, but there are some businesses that it just does not make sense. And I shouldn't be forced legally to oversee that when it's my fucking business. Number two, we should have people that are armed protecting schools. We have armed people protecting sports events, concerts, banks, airports, but not our children. How many gun shows happen around this country every single year? Thousands. How many people attend them in total? Hundreds of thousands. How many shootings happen at gun shows? You ever hear about it? There's millions of guns lying around total between all of these events combined, yet no one gets shot because everyone is armed. Expecting that a lock on a classroom door is going to stop a bullet is incredibly fucking dense. Number three, I don't think trying to blend a bunch of religions and cultures together has ever done any country any good. There are certain backgrounds and religions and countries that are incredibly behind on productivity. Like, you are talking about entire regions of people around the world that have IQs lower than the most mentally incapacitated person here in America. I don't want those people here. These studies have been buried since then, but back in the 90s and the early 2000s, there have been hundreds of studies done, and you can easily go find them if you just dig a little bit, about how multiculturalism has actually damaged communities more than it's helped. People do not gather together as much. People do not knock on their neighbors' doors as much. People do not do social gatherings as much. People do not feel as safe. People don't feel as productive in school. This one's gonna put me under fucking fire, holy shit. A lot of the Black community needs to be addressed. I am tired of Black people pretending like they are the ones that didn't start slavery because they were, and I'm tired of them pretending that white people didn't die to end slavery because we were. I'm also tired of pretending that there are still slaves today and all of the slave owners are, you guessed it, people of color. I'm also tired of pretending that there weren't white slaves as well. And I think that a lot of people in the Black community avoid these truths because they want to try and move up in this country without having to do the hard work. The next one, Islam does not belong in the West. I'm sorry. Believing that people who follow Islam will not violently conquer and subjugate your country like they did to the other 56 non-Muslim countries they did it to is like believing an abuser will stop beating you after beating you 56 times. How do you expect the West to coexist with a culture who is open about hating the West? God created women the way that he created farm animals. That is their belief. You should strike and beat women, but not vindictively, therapeutically. That is their belief. Asking me and my children to coexist with those beliefs is like asking me to walk on glass. And finally, no, I do not believe that words are violent. I think you're just sensitive and a wimp. Words only affect you as much as you let them affect you. Why am I able to come online even with daily hate comments? Because I have thick skin. I'm a grown adult. I don't see someone say something mean and then decide to go blow up a whole classroom over it. All are influencing and teaching people that just mean words equate to a literal punch in the face and then turning around wondering why violence is getting...
So now something interesting is happening in America right now, and a lot of people don't quite know how to handle it. For the first time in a very long time, many Black Americans are not yelling, they are not protesting in large numbers, and they are not arguing back and forth online trying to convince everyone. Instead, they are calm. And strangely, that calmness seems to be making a lot of people uncomfortable. Across social media, whether you go on TikTok, X, formerly known as Twitter, or even here on YouTube, you can see the same reaction happening over and over again. People are asking questions like, why are Black Americans so quiet? Why are they so calm? Why does it seem like they are just watching everything unfold? Let's watch these clips and then I'll come back with more comments.
Yeah, their playbook was Black people fighting in the streets all summer. They wanted a summer of violence. They wanted all those video clips of Black people being violent. And the entire Black community collectively in one voice heard their ancestors say, rest, stay home, don't go out in the streets. They collectively heard it, and they've all listened, and it was right. They have been dealing with a apartheid fascist state for generations, even worse than an apartheid state. Like in the slavery era, that was like, they have been in an abusive narcissistic relationship with the government for generations, since the first person unwillingly stepped foot on this land. They have studied their abusers, because that's what you have to do. When you are a victim to an abuser, you have to study their every movement as a form of self-protection. And they have done that. They didn't have to learn it as they go when he took power in November. They already knew. What do you do when your abuser all of a sudden you hear him walking on the hallway and his footsteps are a little bit off? His breathing's a little bit off. You hide. You go and you hide in your closet. You go out the window and run. You get somewhere safe. They have gone somewhere safe. They are not, resting is not passive. That is not passive protest. That is active protest. And it is working more than anything else that has been being done. It is more effective than I can think of anything else that is being done right now. Resting to me means staying home, saving your money, not spending your money at corporate stores, not buying local, shopping at local stores, going to local restaurants, supporting local businesses, building community, saving your dollars. We brought down Target, and that was 100% led by Black people, by the Black community, 100%. We made Disney come to their knees with just money in a weekend. Like, that is where it hits them where they hurt. We do not need people in the streets being violent. If you feel the call to be out there marching, go march. Do what you feel called to do, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about they wanted summer of 2020 visuals, and they didn't get it. Summer's over. They never got those visuals. I guarantee they have some strategy book and they're like, summer of violence, martial law, we can bring troops in everywhere. Every time they bring troops in somewhere that is shown to be peaceful, people wake up. Every time somebody wakes up. It's a snowball. So people that are resting are literally doing the most right now. So thank you for everyone that engaged with that post and are commenting on it. Those comments are literally like, I'm glad I've introduced some people to the term gray rocking. I'm glad I've put words to what people have been feeling, and that people in the Black community are validating that, like, finally a white lady gets it. Because that literally makes me emotional. Nothing makes me more emotional than getting validation from, especially a Black woman. If you come in my comments and say, you get it, I get emotional every time. So thank you for that. Because you all know, nobody knows the most besides, like, the smartest, most aware people in the world are Black women. And you will never change my mind on that. Because they have to be. And they are. So thank you for validating my last post, because that's how I've been feeling about it ever since I first saw people saying we're sitting this one out. That has meant a lot. Like, that moved me a lot.
Okay, I think I figured out why Harmony and people is calling Black Americans cowards and carrying on because we not out there in the streets. They thought that we had no self-control. That's what they thought. They thought that when we was doing all that stuff, like in 2020 and Ferguson and Baltimore and stuff like that, and LA riots and stuff like that, it was just because we, that were so easily provoked that as soon as somebody do something to one of us, we don't have any strategy. We don't have any type of thought process. We just go like an attack dog. They thought that we had no self-control, and us deciding to sit out and being all on one accord and being strategic and not reacting is showing a level of self-control that they did not realize that we had. They thought they didn't know about us. They thought that we are messing up their perception of us. They are having a crisis about our identity, about Black Americans' identity. Everybody is. Immigrants are having a crisis about our identity. White folks is having a crisis about our identity. They thought that they could count on us. They thought they knew us. and they never knew us because they didn't know our motivations. They didn't know what we were doing. They just saw the effects and they heard what the media said and they took it and ran with it. So even the people that was like, oh, we support you, this and that, the other thing, they thought that we were, justified, but they also thought we were uncontrollable. Because that's why they'd be like, be peaceful when you go out there. I know you got to go out there, but do it like this. Like, they think they treat us like we're children, like we are feral, unruly children. And now that we are showing them that we was doing the whole time. But now that we are showing them now, yeah, we're good. You go ahead and do that. They can't handle it. They can't handle it because it's messing up what they thought they knew about Black Americans. This whole year has been a mind fuck for them. Between us sitting out, between us delineating, we're really showing them in real time who we are. But we always knew, what they say, if you don't know, now you know.
What many people don't realize is that this calmness did not just appear from nowhere. This calmness is as a result of years, even decades, of conversations, warnings, and observations that many people simply did not want to hear at the time. For a long time, there has been discussions about systems, policies, and the direction the country might be leading. There has been debate, analysis, and even predictions about what certain political choices could lead to. But very often, these conversations were ignored, dismissed, and brushed aside. And now that some of those issues are becoming more visible, people are starting to notice something different. The reaction isn't outrage, the reaction isn't chaos. The reaction, in many cases, is quiet observation. Now, I've been seeing a lot of conversations happening on social media platforms, people calling out Black Americans and asking questions like, why are you so quiet? Why aren't you protesting? Why aren't you speaking up? But the response that keeps appearing over and over is something many people may not have expected. And that response is simple. We have been warning you for decades.
Just feel like the Black community, they have tried to warn all of us.
Yeah, you right. We tried to warn you, but you just didn't want to listen. And now that they're knocking at your door, you want to do something. Y'all really need to go back and see everything that she said. For real. You really think that showing up to a march is enough? You really think that buying a pin is enough? You really think that being a keyboard warrior is enough while we out here dying? And you want to mock us and make fun of us when we get to a point where we're just like saying we can't stand y'all and we don't want to be anywhere around you. It's because of this. Now understand, like, being compassionate in all of it, I get that you don't know what you don't know. But we know enough that we believe all women. We know enough that we believe all children, right? Shouldn't we know enough that when people of color are saying something, we should believe them? That we don't need to check out the whole story. We don't need to see what happened before the video started. And like I said, like, I want to be compassionate, but it's really tough. And I've said for a long time, we were the beta testers. And since you sat around and didn't do anything, now nothing's going to happen for you because it's gone too far, right? They're already in position to do what they're going to do to you, just like they've been doing to us. Because what it needed to take was not buying a pen, not being a keyboard warrior, but actually like getting into Congress, writing your senators and, voting in the right people that were going to put the right laws in order to do the right things. And you just didn't. So, yeah, now everything's coming to what it's coming to, and you're just going to get to deal with it. And nobody's coming to save you because you never came to save us. And the funny thing is that if we did save you, you would just do what you did with the whole feminism thing, right? Just leave us in the dust. Sorry, not sorry.
For years, there have been discussions about political systems, leadership, decisions, and policies that could have long-term consequences. But sometimes when people hear warnings that challenge their expectations or beliefs, they choose not to engage with these conversations. And some people were focused on promises that sounded hopeful. Others believed that certain leaders or administrations could deliver the change they were hoping for. And that's normal part of any democracy. People make choices based on what they believe is best for the future. But now, the country continues moving forward. Some people are beginning to question whether the outcomes match expectations they once had. And that's why these conversations are becoming louder online. Because when expectations and reality don't always align, people ask deeper questions. So right now in America, there are still several years left in the current political cycle. That means there is still a lot that can happen, which is why some people are choosing not to rush into reactions. So they are just watching carefully, they are just analyzing what is happening, and they are thinking about what it means for the future. Another thing that has been discussed online is the idea many communities have already had conversations internally for years, especially the Black Americans. These discussions about political systems, economic strategies, and community resilience have been happening long before social media started amplifying them. So for some people, what looks like silence externally means reflection internally. It's people focusing on their communities, their families, and their long-term plans than participating in every public debate. And that shift in approach can be confusing for people who expected a different reaction. Historically, moments of political tension have often been associated with loud public responses, but also history shows that strategies evolve. And communities learn from the past experience, they adapt, they rethink how they engage with systems around them. And sometimes that means choosing calm observation instead of immediate reaction. So when people ask the question, why are Black Americans so quiet? The answer might be as simple as they expect. Now, I've gathered all these clips and I want us to watch them together and have a discussion in the comment section below. And remember to keep it respectful. Let's have a discussion, not an argument. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.